We're at the Museum of London's Archaeological Archive, and it's here that we store London's archaeology, dating back from prehistoric remains right up to 20th century material. This archive is both for researchers but also for members of the public, and each month we run tours of the archive, each with a different theme, on the first and third Saturdays. I'm going to start with the earliest objects that we've got on the table here, and this was actually found over at the Olympic Park before the Olympic Games happened. They had to do all the archaeology yet. And the first artefact is actually going back almost 6,000 years ago, and this is a Neolithic Flint Axe. Taking a close look, you can see where it's been worked and knapped. However, we don't think this is actually ever used as an actual tool. We think that rather than being used as a tool, this would have been some kind of ritual deposit. Because we have a crime uncovered exhibition at the moment, I thought we have a very tenuous link to criminal activity. And this is actually Roman, and it's not the most attractive looking object, but this is a manacle that was found around the leg of a Roman skeleton. So potentially that might have been some kind of Roman criminal, maybe a slave, more likely to have been a criminal. And it's quite unusual to find a manacle around with the actual bone, even though it's not the most visually attractive artefact. One thing about archaeology is we're always looking for the stories in these artefacts, and sometimes the plain looking, boring, even ugly looking objects can have an amazing story attached to them. I love this job because although looking at the shelves it's just lots of boxes, inside each of these boxes are millions and millions of stories of Londoners from 100,000 years ago right up to the people that were around in World War II. Each artefact in this archive has some kind of story connected to it. So even from the most smallest of pottery sherds to the most visually stimulating artefacts, each has some kind of connection to somebody in London's past. So this is a 14th century object, and it's a small little toy, clearly in the shape of a bird, but it's quite fascinating because the tongue of the bird and the little nest that it's sitting on, when you move that, the tongue waggles. So it's a really intricate little toy despite being from the 14th century. With archaeology, one of the most common materials we find is animal bone, which for the most part tell you about what people are eating in the past. However, on occasions we find the more unusual animal bone. When they did the excavations at the Rose Theatre, Shakespeare's Rose Theatre, they found a few animals, one of which was part of a turtle shell, a turtle carapace. One of the most amazing skulls we have in this archive is the skull of a monkey. And finally, this too was excavated at the Rose Theatre, or nearby, where we know there was bear baiting going on, and this is part of a bear femur.